All right, hey. So had a few requests for another one of these little talks that we did last time. Last time we had the 16-inch bass drum rant, and I want to talk today about the first time that I ever saw Hella perform. Saw Zach Hill particularly, but just like the Hella experience and everything. Um, Zach Hill's one of my favorite artists. I'll call him an artist as opposed to just a drummer because I really dig his paintings, his pencil art, of course all the music. Zach Hill I think is one of the most prolific drummers out there. Tons and tons of records, and that's one of the things I love about him is that you can always tell it's Zach Hill, but he's got such a versatility as far as just the artists he plays with and the things that he does, the risks he takes, and things like that. So let's set the stage, all right? So the show, I didn't even know who Hella was, never heard of him or anything. Me and a buddy went to see the Mars Volta, who were System of a Down, I think, was the headliner, 2005, like October or something like that, up in Columbus, Ohio. And I was really just there for Mars Volta. I could have cared less. I like System of a Down. I was very into him at the time, but not really my priority. I was really a big John Theodore fan, Omar, Cedric, all the Mars Volta guys. So that was like my main thing. I didn't even know who Hella was or that they were opening or anything like that. We got there real early. We were down right up in front, and actually like we paid like maybe like $50 for our tickets or something like that, and we were like in the pit, right up in front and everything. It was great. But so we were waiting around for the show to start, and Hella comes out, and they're playing, and man, the crowd response was not good. Everybody was just like, "What the fuck is this? This is terrible." People were like seriously like throwing beers and booing and like, "Yeah, what are you doing?" Like just middle fingers and stuff. And I couldn't tell what I was witnessing at all. I was just like, "Man, that drummer has not stopped moving the entire time that he's been playing." And it's just like this, flurry of activity on stage. Spencer, he had like the full, long hair, kind of like what I got now, not the ponytails, but big hair, big old beard and everything. Looked like kind of like Charles Manson or something like that. I remember he would like hide behind his amplifier, and then he would kind of grimace at the audience and all this kind of weird shit like that. And they did a blend of some of the duo stuff, which Hella, originated as a duo, and then some of the more full band stuff. Now, this is prior to There's No 666 in Outer Space, which is one of my favorite Hella albums. Very controversial kind of Hella topic. People love it or hate it, I think. But this was Church Gone Wild, Chirpin' Hard era, and I actually bought that double album that night just because I was like, what the fuck did I just see? I couldn't tell what was going on, So a mix of a duo and the full band, and just like total sensory overload, the whole time they're playing, just nonstop, and it's just like this weird guitar player, and just you couldn't really make out exactly what was going on, but the band was very tight for being as kind of loose as the arrangement was at that point. But yeah, so the crowds, hated it. Everybody just was like, "What the fuck is this?" People were booing. They're Mars Volta, come on, get this shit off stage. So I was just like, man, that was insane. But I had no idea what I really saw or anything like that. So then, Mars Volta comes out. Of course, everybody loved that. That was why a lot of folks were there. Blast to see them. John Theodore, no offense for Thomas Pridgeon or whatever, not hating on him, but John Theodore forever, man. So I really really dug that. John on his like stainless steel Bonham kind of kit. To me the Mars Volta at that point in my life, that was like my Zeppelin. It felt like the Zeppelin of my era kind of. And I know a lot of people would disagree with me about that, but for I thought they were great, pushing some boundaries, and I credit the Mars Volta for really opening me up into all these other bands, checking different things out based on who they were influenced by. So excellent show. I was singing along, everybody was dancing, just having a blast, and I remember Cedric coming out and just being like, like in 10 years, like you are going to be like, Hella is going to be like somebody that people know about, and hasn't quite worked out that way. This was back in 2005, and I think Hella is still maybe a little more fringe for a lot of folks, but I definitely going from like having like who the fuck is this, after I really got into him, I just like started checking out Zach Hill and just completely blown away by his style, his precision, I mean, for my money, like there aren't that many drummers playing on a pretty much a basic four-piece kit that can rival what Zach Hill is doing. If you guys know somebody, then please, dear God, let me know, because I don't know anybody who is coming close to him. Anybody else who's like, you're like, yeah, kind of, they have like a bunch of drums or a double bass or like all these cymbals and all this stuff, and that's fine. I love that. But one of the things I appreciate about drummers is the guys that can do what they do on a four-piece kit and just sound like them all the time. Part of it's how Zach tunes his drums, this crank snare drum, the very low tuned toms, so that he kind of has this juxtaposition of like the really cracking snare drum, cymbals, and then just sort of low rumbly shit, the bass drums and toms, and so he can kind of mimic the feel and the sound of like the double bass kind of stuff. But Zach's just such a unique player, and that was kind of my dipping my toes into the water. And I remember after the show, we hung around a little bit for System of a Down, and we listened to a few songs. And honestly, I thought they were kind of annoying. Their show consisted of like stadium, like big floodlights, and they would just like blind the audience, and kind of sucked in my opinion. I like System of a Down, but after seeing Hella and then seeing the Mars Volta, I was just like, man, I don't even give a shit. And we had to drive back from Columbus. It was like a 3 or 4 hour drive. It was late and stuff, so we just bailed. And I remember I bought a couple of Mars Volta shirts because I was a huge Mars Volta fan at that point. The Foot Stab shirt I got, and then like the little red one they had. Bought that Church Gone Wild Chirpin' Hard double, and just because I was like, well, it's a double CD, I'll check that out. And I remember we listened to it in the car on the way home, and I was kind of wondering, like, I'm like, man, they sounded so crazy and fucked up on stage. I was like, is that how they sound on the record, And yeah, they totally sound that way. You listen to not Chirpin' Hard so much. Chirpin' Hard's a little more, I wouldn't say poppy, but accessible, and it's not so cacophonous and just this huge wall of sound kind of thing where you just get lost into it. I think Church Gone Wild is just like a great album. One of Zach Hill's finest works. I appreciate all his stuff. The Masculine Drugs, Talk to Your Kids About Gangs, Holy Smokes, all that stuff. And then, of course, Astrological Straits, Face Tat, everything is just brilliant shit in my opinion. So yeah, we listened to that, and I'm just like, what the fuck, the whole way home. Like, it does sound like that, man. And I don't even know if we made it through the whole album, or maybe we did, and it was like a 3 hour drive. But put on the Chirpin' Hard, and my buddy was definitely like more into that one, But that was my diving into this kind of Zach Hill world, and I started checking out Hella and all that stuff, and really got into them throughout college and all that kind of shit. Really appreciate that Modern Drummer article they did with Zach, where he was able to kind of, had some of his art on display in there. I actually ended up getting one of those pieces of artwork. My lovely lady bought one for my birthday in, I think, like 2012. And so I've got like a Zach Hill artwork, and he wrote "Love Zach" on it. And so I'm like, "Ooh, Zach loves me," and all that shit. But anyways, that's what started the whole thing for me with Zach Hill, was getting into that. The Modern Drummer article has some nice transcription. I think it's Republic of Rough and Ready, which I shedded that thing for a long time. I don't know if I ever got where I could actually pull it off at tempo, but love that shit. And I really appreciate Zach's what he talks about. He talks about pushing the instrument forward. I feel like a lot of artists don't give a shit about pushing the instrument forward, about like really like, there's folks that come along on any instrument, whether it's piano, with somebody like Franz Liszt, or saxophone Coltrane, or just anything, people that it's like, like if you've ever watched the Different Drummer documentary about Elvin Jones, I think Ron Carter says, the best way to talk about, or to think about the contribution of Elvin Jones, listen to a drummer pre-Elvin Jones, listen to Elvin Jones, and listen to a drummer post-Elvin Jones. He just so reshaped the way we think of the instrument and what you could do on it. And so Zach Hill, for me, is one of those guys that like really, and he says it, I think, at the end of the article, like whether anybody's paying attention or not, that's what he's setting out to do, is to create his own voice on the instrument, and to really push the instrument forward. And records like There's No 666 in Outer Space, are just a monumental work in my opinion, and I'm really pissed that Modern Drummer, I love Modern Drummer, but I mean, like, goddamn, do we need to see another Neil Peart cover? There's so many good drummers out there, and I just get so sick of that stuff when there's hardly any respect and praise for drummers who are like actually innovating and are so prolific. I mean, again, how many records has Zach Hill played on? Like, Jesus Christ, that guy is so busy. He really commits himself to his art and what he's doing, and so that was a big thing for me. Mars Volta, getting to see Hella and diving into that kind of world and realizing the kind of shit that's capable on a 4-piece drum set. I mean, that guy is just ridiculous what he can do with a single pedal. And and I think one point I want to make too with Zach Hill is that sure, he's a beast with the kick drum, but there's so many other things about his playing that I just think are just amazing. The way that he plays his cymbals, when I listen to Zach Hill play his cymbals, it's like you're seeing a star explode or something, or you're witnessing some like very just meta cosmic shit out there. I don't know anybody else that really kind of plays that way, and that's awesome. That's a great thing. I don't like it when people are just copying and you hear a clone of somebody and you're like, oh, that that obviously sounds like somebody else, or that was a such and such lick. Zach said he's very hesitant to play anything that he knows has been played before. Any beat that's been played before, you're not gonna fucking hear Zach Hill do it. There'll always be something that'll make it. You're like that's Zach Hill, right? You can hear it. You just know whether it's a little subtle double bass drum, a little double, or the sharp, cracking tuned snare drum, that Keplinger steel snare drum tuned way up. Anyways, just a beast of a player. Want to do a little talk about that. So if you guys are fans of Zach Hill, let me know what was the first time you saw him or heard him. What did you think? What really stood out to you about him? Do you hate Zach Hill? Do you think he's a fucking narcissist who's just wanking off on the drums all the time? I know that's what a lot of people think. They're just like, oh, that guy back there, he's just ridiculous. He's overplaying is what he's doing. People thought that Elvin Jones was overplaying. People thought Coltrane was overplaying. Elvin Jones, in particular, one of those guys that you can take everything else away and it still sounds good, even just Elvin Jones. And you could probably tell what fucking song he's playing because of the way that he's so melodic in what he's doing. He's thinking of the melody the whole time that he's playing. And I've heard people say it sounds like he's soloing, and to a degree, I think, sure, yeah, that's true. He's just such a beast of a player. And same thing with Zach Hill. You could take everything else away most of the time, and you still have a very substantial thing that you're witnessing. So, just want to give some Zach Hill praise, a little backstory on one of my favorite artists, that's out there right now. Love everything he's doing with ILYs, the solo stuff that he's done, of course, all the Death Grips shit and everything. So I'm eager to see what he does next, what moves he's making, and everything. I really like to see maybe another Hella album at some point here, get to hear that. So, anyways, I'm going to cut this off. But if you guys, if you like the video, like what I'm saying, like it, subscribe, and comment below. What was the first thing you heard Zach Hill do? What was the first song, first album? Did you see him live? That kind of thing. I've only gotten to see Zach Hill live that one time, and man, just really stuck with me. It was excellent opportunity. Great lineup. Really, Hella, Mars Volta, System of a Down. For $50, man, I'd do that all day. So, anyways, guys, thank you for support. I've had some new subscribers, and if there's something in particular you want to see me do, or talk about, then please comment and send me a message or something and let me know. Really appreciate all the support. So, Sorrel Bait is out. Peace.